No other animal on Earth has ever died of shame. Lions don't lie awake replaying something they said 3 years ago. Elephants don't feel their face go hot in a crowd. Somewhere in our evolutionary history, we developed something no other species has ever needed: the ability to destroy ourselves from the inside out with nothing but a thought. And we don't just feel it, we blush. We physically change color in front of other people in a way no other animal does. Charles Darwin spent years trying to understand why. He called it the most peculiar and most human of all expressions. And then, in 1872, he admitted he had no idea what it was for. We've had 150 years since then. We still don't fully agree. But what we have figured out along the way is stranger than the question itself. Start with the blushing. It happens without your permission. You cannot stop it by deciding to. The moment you become aware of it, it gets worse. The blood vessels in your face dilate, flushing your cheeks, your ears, sometimes your neck and chest. This is controlled by the same part of your nervous system that handles your heartbeat and your breathing. You did not ask for it. You cannot override it. Psychologist Ray Crozier spent most of his career studying blushing and found something most people don't expect. People blush most intensely not when they do something wrong, but when they are positively singled out. Winning an award in front of a crowd produces the same flush as knocking something off a shelf in a quiet room. It is not guilt triggering the response. It is visibility. The blush fires whenever you become suddenly, acutely aware that other people are looking at you. That is a very specific thing to have a physiological response to. Your body has a dedicated alarm for being watched. In 1990, a psychologist named Mark Leary published research on what he called Sociometer theory. The idea was simple and quietly radical. Self-esteem, he argued, is not really about how you feel about yourself. It is a gauge, a real-time meter that tracks how accepted you are by the people around you. When the meter drops, you feel it as emotional pain. When it rises, you feel it as relief. The internal feeling of confidence or shame is just the readout on a social instrument your brain is running constantly without telling you. Leary found that almost every trigger for low self-esteem maps onto something that would have gotten a human excluded from their group. Failure, humiliation, rejection, being laughed at, being visibly wrong in public. These don't just feel bad, they feel like danger, because for most of human history, they were.
In 2003, a neuroscientist named Naomi Eisenberger put people inside fMRI scanners and had them play a simple ball-tossing game with 2 other players. Partway through the game, without warning, the other 2 players stopped throwing the ball to the subject. They just passed it between themselves and excluded the person in the scanner completely. The brain region that lit up was the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. It is the same region that activates when you experience physical pain. Not a similar region, not a nearby region, the same one. Eisenberger ran the study again with a painkiller. Participants who took acetaminophen before the game reported significantly less social pain from being excluded than those who took a placebo. A standard painkiller reduced the hurt of being left out. Your brain does not have a separate system for social pain. It borrowed the hardware it already had for physical injury. The ache you feel when someone shuts you out is running on the same circuit as the pain of a broken bone. That is not a metaphor. That is the scan. This helps explain something that otherwise sounds dramatic. Death from shame. It has been documented across cultures and across centuries. In Japan, the concept of haji, shame so complete it severed a person from their social identity, has been linked to psychological collapse for hundreds of years. In smaller traditional communities studied by anthropologists, individuals expelled from their group sometimes died within weeks. No wound, no disease, just the withdrawal of belonging. Physician and researcher James Gilligan spent decades studying violence in American prisons and concluded that shame was the single most common cause of violence he encountered. Not anger, not deprivation, shame. He described it as the emotion people will do almost anything to escape, including harming others, including harming themselves. The body treats social death like physical death because for most of human existence, they were the same thing. Exclusion from the group did not mean embarrassment. It meant no shelter, no food, no protection. It meant an actual end. The nervous system that responded to social rejection as an emergency was the nervous system that kept you alive. We still have that nervous system. But here is where the popular reading of this goes wrong. Most people hear this and conclude that shame is the enemy, that the goal is to stop caring what other people think. to build the kind of self that is immune to the gaze of the crowd. The self-help version of this research is everywhere. Stop seeking approval. Detach from external validation. Be your own judge. That reading is not what the research actually supports. Leary's Sociometer work found that people with no sensitivity to social feedback, not low sensitivity, a zero sensitivity, did not become free. They became dangerous. The capacity to feel shame is inseparable from the capacity to care about other people. The blush is not a flaw. It is a signal. It means you understand that your actions affect the people around you and that their perception of you matters. Every functioning human community in history has run on that understanding. The problem is not that you feel shame. The problem is that a nervous system built for a group of 30 is now running inside a world of 8 billion strangers, and a phone that lets all of them watch you at once. Your brain's social alarm was calibrated for a camp, for a group of people you would see every day for the rest of your life, people whose opinion of you was the only opinion that materially affected your survival. It was not built for a comment section. It was not built for the specific modern experience of being wrong in front of an audience of people. When Darwin watched people blush in 1872, he was watching a system do exactly what it evolved to do. Signal to the group that you are aware you have overstepped. Communicate without words that you understand the social contract. The blush was never about pain. It was about repair. What it was not built for is permanence. In the camp, the embarrassing moment passed. The people who saw it moved on, because they had to. You all still needed each other by morning. The repair happened because proximity forced it. Online, nothing forces it. The moment stays, the record stays, the audience stays, and your nervous system, which evolved for a world where social wounds healed because everyone slept in the same camp, does not know what to do with an injury that never closes. You did not choose to care this much what other people think. That was decided for you by 100,000 years of ancestors, for whom caring was the difference between surviving the night. The most human thing about you might also be the thing that is hardest to carry. Darwin never solved the blush. He just recognized it as something no other creature had ever needed to develop. He was right about that much. What he could not have known is that the same species that evolved a body response to being watched would one day build an entire civilization around watching each other. We are still figuring out what that costs.